All right, first start with success.
Yeah.
Back at it, Vintage Air project. So I'm making a block off for the fresh air hole. So you can see this hole's typically what goes to the blower motor when you do fresh air and recirc. This is fresh air. On the Vintage Air system, they want it's gonna be recirc all the time. So on the Vintage Air kits, you have to block off this fresh air hole. So I made a template. I got my piece of aluminum. Yeah, that's how it goes. So this guy will get sealed up against the body with silicone or the RTV around the edge. Typically in a lot of kits, they want you to drill holes to attach the plate. I want to drill as few holes as I can in this chassis. So here's what we're gonna do. I have this plate that I made that'll get captured up in there, and what's gonna happen is that when you put a screw through this guy, and these two will get sandwiched together. So this will get sandwiched against the body, and then this will stay captured up in there. And I'll show you guys how this guy works. All right. Just like that. This guy is just gonna be a screw hole through there, and then again, when I put a screw through there, it'll sandwich in, and this guy will get the fresh air block off plate will get sandwiched up in there and captured. Cool, got regular RTV on this plate, just using gray, but any RTV should be fine. Also some RTV on the bolt head to seal it up, and then at the tip, so it kind of acts like Loctite. And got my paper notes right there. Alright, so small change of plans. I'm actually going to use this style screw and extend this guy by 1 inch, so 7 inches total, and I'll show you guys why. If I do all the way up there, I have to find a very long screw, like too long. So what I'm gonna do, since this guy's gonna be 1 inch longer, that's where I'm gonna put it, right there. And you can see the silicone didn't go all the way around. This might not exactly be flat, so what I'm gonna recommend is actually apply silicone or like something self-sealing tape, something like that, around and apply it directly onto the body itself. All right, got the fresh air vent block off. My little center screw worked. I'll probably put some silicone around this guy just to make sure there's no air leaks, but yeah, so far good to go. I think I want this to be something thinner gauge to better form them against the body, but yeah, this will work out perfect. And again, no drilling of holes required. So we're working on getting the condenser mounted right now. If we look, hopefully the light's good enough for the camera to pick it up, but it looks like this size condenser fits exactly where the radiator goes, or right in front. And the key with this is you actually want these two as close as possible, like touching each other. So if you see like OEM setups, there'll be foam in between the radiator and this guy. So why would you want your condenser right in front of your radiator? If you can imagine, you want air to flow through both heat exchangers. If you have them too far apart, sometimes the air wants to go. Yeah, so there's a possibility that it'll flow around the heat exchanger and you'll have like a dead pocket of air back here. So, all right, making some prototype condenser mounts. So this guy's already mounted up. You can see we're using the existing wire harness holes and just a nut and the bolt on the top side, and then the bracket sits in the middle of that condenser and goes on the back side and holds it in place. So the plan is, between the radiator and the condenser, we're gonna put air sealing tape, and then also at the bottom of this guy. We're actually not going to hard mount this. We're just going to put air sealing tape and have the condenser just rest on top of the air sealing tape and only get secured from the top using these brackets. Got some notes, and then the driver and passenger side condenser mounts. So the top will take a nut and bolt to the radiator support, and then like a self-tapping type screw for this hole on the back of the condenser mounting hole. Cool, so we're working on the ducting for the interior right now and getting this guy, finding a home to install this guy. So there's 2 defrost ducts on the Gen 2 mini unit. So we're gonna use a Y connector to make these into one. We found this Ford F100 vent would be correct for our application. So I drilled 2 holes into this guy, and we're gonna mount it using some provided screws from Vintage Air. And I also drilled 2 holes up in the factory defrost vent, so that's how we're gonna attach these two. And then this foam I added myself, and you always want air sealing foam when you put ducting stuff together. So I drilled an 1/8 hole and an 1/8 hole because there's room behind here, and then the screws will just go directly into these holes. And then 3/16 holes in the back of this guy. Alright, that's it. So cool, now we converted this guy to a single 2-inch outlet. We'll put a 2-inch Y somewhere, and then the 2 hoses will go down into the Gen 2 Mini. Alright, so on the Gen 2 Mini unit, these 3 forward vents are for the face, and then these 2 bottom ones are for the feet. So we think we're just going to leave the feet ones alone. If we need to route them differently, we can always do that after the fact. But so this is how we're going to get all the vents to work. This is the factory Corolla vent, and this thing goes straight on top of the blower motor, and then the blend door, that's what goes onto here, and that'll change the position. I'm sorry, the blend door and the blower motor go directly onto this guy, and then these right here go straight to the center 2 vents. And if you guys can see, this is a weird shape because it's like not really a rectangle, and it takes a dip right there. And then this one also, there's a pipe from factory that goes to the driver's side vent that's closer to the window. So here's what we're gonna have to do. We actually don't need 3 vents. We only need 1 because we're gonna create a block off plate and then have these 3 direct into 1. Alright, so this duct, sorry about the light, but this that goes to the blower motor, normally this is just sitting up here because the blower motor like hold this guy in place. So we need to add some screws. So there's like a slit fit thing for a threaded hole here on both ends, and then you can see the screw right there. So there's one on both sides, and I'll take this guy out and I'll show you guys what that looks like. But I had to drill holes through this guy plus this defrost vent. Alright, so here's a better look. This is the center 2 vents, and then drilled 2 3/16 holes, 1 on each end. And then because this guy's a little bit bulkier and a little more weight, I wanted to add these clip-in guys for a screw hole. And again, these use the same Vintage Air provided screws that we used for this guy. first start. We got the AC compressor mounted, we got the bracket built. Just gonna make sure the belt alignment's okay, and then Steven's gonna start his own car. All right, cool. Whenever you're ready. Yeah. Rev it a little bit. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you can turn it off. All right. Success. Yeah. Yeah, it looks great. That thing's like dead nuts straight. So here, I'll show you.